Welcome back, everyone, to the Single Parents Network podcast. I'm the Single Parents Coach, Coach Nrgy, and I work with single fathers, single mothers, and those who date single parents. On this podcast, we discuss everything involving dating, divorce, relationships, co-parenting, blending families, basically all matters of the heart. On this episode, I have my guest Harvey here. He is going to talk about his experiences with making sure that men prioritize themselves as well as self-care. So Harvey, please take a few moments to introduce yourself to our listeners and let them know your connection or your relation to the topics that we will be discussing today.
Hello. First of all, thanks for having me, Enrgy. I appreciate this. My name is Harvey Laguerre. I am a few things. I am a stay-at-home father of 4 children. I am 49 years old, Black man. If you can see me, I hope you can see me. I shaved and everything, so I'm clean today. I am a podcaster. I have a podcast. It is called Men Are the Prize. It is a space for men to be open, vulnerable, and emotional. Being a man can be confusing at times because we're not really sure what it means in one hand and another hand. So, but most importantly, being a man has always been this idea of being stoic, of being strong, of being this brick wall where there's no soft spaces, and that doesn't work for us. So this space is created by me for men to be open. You can talk about whatever you want because the point is less what you're saying and more the point that you are talking. We need to speak. I created this because when I was 18, which is about 30 years from now, 30 years ago, I was a Black kid at 18 who went to college, who failed out, who came home, who was the embarrassment of the family, who had no self-esteem. I didn't feel like I was worth anything. And I had nobody to talk to about it. So what I have as a memory of that is this scar on my wrist because I tried to kill myself. I didn't have anybody to say, listen, you failed out. That doesn't define you. That's one mistake. It's not the only mistake. It's just one part of your story. So I created this space so that men can tell their stories. I needed somebody to talk to. I needed somebody to listen to me, and I didn't have it. I grew up. Well, my first 10 years, my parents were married, then they got divorced. And then I was all over the place, living with dad, living with mom. So I am the product of divorced parents. And I am the father in a family, a blended family also, where our kids are together, where the family is together. I'm a father who makes time for himself because I'm a better father, a better husband, a better man, a better friend, a better everything when I put myself at the top of my list. When I make sure that I'm good, I can deal with my kids. When I'm good, I can deal with my wife in whatever situation. I can deal with life because I'm good. I can't help everybody unless I pull that mask down and take care of myself first to take care of everybody else. And we men are raised to take care of everybody else. We're providers for them. Who's providing for you? You have to provide for you, even at times to the detriment of the people next to you, because we're valuable. I got to take care of me. I need to go for 2 hours and take a walk. I got to go for 2 hours and meditate because when I come back, my kids, I got you. My wife, I got you. My friends, my everything. If I don't take care of me, everybody else is at a detriment. Everybody else, I'm not my best. And when I'm at my best, everybody's okay. When I'm at my worst, nobody's okay. So that's what we're going to talk about. Men, you're important. You're valuable. And it's time to take care of you. What you going to do for you? Who's going to take care of you? You are. You're going to take care of you. And if you don't, we can't expect anybody else to.
Yes, this is perfect. Oh, you hit so many points that I coach on, that I speak on, that my heart goes out to so many men about. Now, you did say that a lot of men, and which is true, a lot of men are raised to take care of everything else and everyone else first. Help others, help the men that are listening to us right now, help them understand how to get from that place of where it may seem or feel selfish of, oh no, I can't worry about me first because I have family, I have kids, I have a wife, I have a job, I have other people in my community, I have parents that are still pulling on me or still expect me to take care of certain responsibilities. How can they go from that way of thinking to switching to a healthier way of thinking, which is, you know what, I do have to prioritize myself first in order for me to be the best that I can for you.
First of all, selfish is not a bad word. So if you're in this mindset of, oh my God, I'm selfish, yes, you are. And you have every reason to do so. You are important. You better prioritize yourself. As men, and particularly as Black men, we don't even go to the doctor. We don't even take care of our health. If you're really thinking, I don't want to take care of myself because I have to take care of all these other people. When you drop and you have a heart attack while you're helping somebody, are you helping somebody then? When you're a diabetic, which we are predisposed to be because we're Black men, when you have heart disease because we're predisposed to have it because we're Black men, when you have high blood pressure because we are predisposed to have it because we're Black men, are you helping anyone? Isn't it selfish to not take care of yourself? Isn't it your job to make sure that that heart is pumping right, that your mind is right? Do you have a therapist? Are you talking to somebody? The physical is important, but you could be a beast. You could build like the rock. But if you have low self-esteem, if you're depressed, if you're bipolar, and you know you have these issues and you're not dealing with it, isn't that selfish? You need to take care of you so you can do what we're raised to do. By men, it's our nature. I'm gonna stand in front of something, in front of my girl, if somebody makes that move. It's my job. It's my job to take care of my kids. I'm gonna do that. It's nature. That's it. But I can't do that as quickly, as efficient, as properly if my mind, my body, and my soul is not taken care of. Am I in the gym? Am I eating right? Am I talking to myself? Am I journaling? Am I doing the things so that I'm good, so that I'm respected? Am I respecting myself enough to take care of everybody else? You better be selfish. I expect that from every man. Yes, I got a doctor's appointment. I want to eat that food, but you know what? I can't do that. I'm 40 plus. Things can start happening to me. Be selfish. That's the mindset I want. And a selfish man for himself is a phenomenal man for his community, his family, his spouse, his employees, his friends, everyone. Put yourself first, and everybody will be right next to you.
100%. 100%. And it was important that you mentioned that, to have that rhetorical question. Are you talking to someone? Seeking therapists, counselor, coaches, you name it. And unfortunately, for a lot, there's this stigma still in 2024. There's this stigma about going to a therapist, talking to someone, having to maybe admit that, hey, yeah, I'm having these thoughts, or yeah, I chose to do that. That was an action that I took out of anger. But in reality, the anger that I showed was rooted in, a lack of love or not feeling appreciated, and
Okay.
and not feeling that they have a safe space to be vulnerable, like you also mentioned earlier, which is what your podcast allows. That space, you've created that space for men to be vulnerable. But for those who still have that mindset of, yeah, I'm not going to talk to someone about what, I'm not crazy, like, because they have that connection for some reason. Well, they still connect it to them possibly having to admit to them being crazy, when that's not what therapy is. So for those who may be on the fence or not even quite at the fence yet of seeing a therapist, what can you say to those? Whether it be motivation or just words of wisdom or actual steps to take to kind of get them a little bit closer to seeing a therapist, what would you say to those people?
I would say there's a lot to say to those people. So what you're really talking about is masculinity. You're really, I mean, to me, the point, masculinity is right in the middle, and you're just driving around and you're getting there. We've been raised at this idea a man doesn't talk about what's going on. We don't express that problem. We just put it in there. We just file it away. We'll deal with it, or maybe we never will. And we grow up being boys, whether we're black or white, and being a boy is hard. When you're a black boy, we go into school, and I really talk about this a lot. As a black male, that's the experience that I can get into. I went into school, and I'm a pretty smart guy. I feel like I sound like one, but I go to school, and I went to school, and immediately the possibility that I was the problem, that I was the distraction in class. That kind of comes immediately when a black boy's in there. So there's not a lot of expectation for what we're going to do. And then if anything happens immediately, oh, special education or whatever that. So we're in school. It's important that we educate ourselves and that we recognize this whole process. We go to school, all right, I'm going to learn and I'm going to do great things. I actually completely lost my train of thought. And I recognize that, so I'm going to stop. And I'm going to come back. I realize that. I always have a point, but sometimes I get so wrapped up in talking about us men that I forget.
That's okay. No
Do me a
worries.
favor. Do you know what? Just tell me the question one more time. Let me rephrase my thoughts, if you wouldn't
Absolutely.
mind.
So we were talking about the importance of therapy, and unfortunately, there's still a stigma around that. And I was asking to maybe speak into those men who have a problem with therapy right now. They haven't accepted it as being an opportunity for them, as being a tool or a resource for them, without it shining a negative light on
Okay.
either who they are as a person
Okay.
or
Okay.
their
I
their
got you.
being.
I'm back. All right.
Awesome.
Simply put, we as men or as boys becoming men have a lot of things that we deal with. And we don't always have somebody to talk to. Hopefully, there's a parent, hopefully a father, an uncle, somebody there to talk to, because we're going to go through life. Life is difficult. We're learning as we grow. And sometimes things happen, not because we're bored, not because we're black, but because it's life. I wanted to be on the football team and I didn't make it. And I'm depressed about that because I don't feel good about myself. And I didn't have anybody to say, listen, maybe it's just not meant for you, but you're not any less of a person because it didn't happen. Or there's a girl that you really liked and, you took all the strength you had to go talk to her and it didn't work out. Maybe we don't have somebody to say, listen, you go, she broke your heart this time. It's probably going to happen again. And it's not because of you. This is something that's part of life. We need to talk about things. And there's nothing crazy about expressing yourself, about expressing disappointment, about expressing disdain, about expressing feelings of loss, because we'll lose people, we'll lose friendships, we'll lose in relationships. It is imperative that you get it out, because we've got this term of toxic masculinity, which I've never really been a proponent of. To me, we men go through life and things happen and they pile up and they pile up and they pile up, and we're humans. And at some point, anybody who is dealing with all this trauma over and over again, it's going to come out somehow. And when we're men, it doesn't come out in a emotional way. It can be more in a violent or an aggressive way, because we're allowed to be angry. That's the emotion we men are allowed to have. Everything else is feminine or effeminate or whatever, all these other terms they're put out there for us. You need to get it out because it happened to you, because you are valuable and we need you okay. And to be okay, you got to say, oh my God, I'm so disappointed. I really liked her and it didn't work out. Or I worked and I thought I had this promotion and I didn't get it. And I don't understand why I didn't get it. And you don't just leave that sitting there. You get it out. Hang out with your boys. Find a therapist. Find somebody to talk to. It is imperative that we don't hold on to the negativity. It is important that we let it out and let the positivity in, because we're better off when we recognize life can be hard, but you know what? I can handle it. And I know I can handle it because I've dealt with it. And then I've talked to somebody else about it. And I talked to another friend of mine who lives next door, who's probably going through the exact same thing you're going through. and probably thinks that he's by himself in the situation. And it's like, no, you're not, dude. Like, I live next door. I didn't get that job either. That girl said no to me too. I'm a black guy, and I was at the court and they thought I was good at basketball, but I'm trash. I understand that feeling. These things happen. And when you can say to somebody, you can say, what? I'm not by myself. I'm not alone. I am a human male going through stuff. And you know how much easier it is to go through life when you know it's not just you and you're struggling, but so is everybody else. And that's okay. That's life. And the more you talk about things, the better things get, even when they're bad. Okay, I'm not liking this situation, but I can deal with it. And we can deal with life better when we express how we feel about situations.
Absolutely. And I made a note of what you said. It's so important to get negativity out in order to make room for positivity. And one of the examples that you gave, you basically mentioned about being rejected. If a guy goes up to a girl and she, doesn't, she basically rejects him. That's a huge issue on amongst, many others. That's a huge issue that is plaguing a lot of relationships, or not even relationships, because technically it's not an official relationship, but it causes a lot of violence from men to from the male to the female, because the guy does not know how to deal with being rejected. The guy does not know how to deal with being told no, or that feeling of what could feel like embarrassment. And it's understandable that it doesn't feel good. And so I'm saying that because it's important for people, and especially men, to seek a therapist in order to help them learn the methods of how to release, how to deal with the thoughts and the emotions, instead of creating this story within themselves, within their mind of, oh, she rejected me. Well, then how can she reject me when, look at her standing over there, her shoes doesn't even match her purse. It starts to create all of this anger within them. And it's because they don't have the tools or the resources or the knowledge of how to deal with things in a healthy way. And I brought that particular example up because I've seen even more of an increase where it gets nasty out here, in just those types of cases alone, where a guy approached a girl, he mustered up the courage to do so, just still for her to, reject him, let him down, and it did not go well. It ended up being violent, or it ended up with him calling her out of her name, or stalking her, or whatever. And it's so unfortunate, because I see a guy who's hurting. I see a guy who he's taking it out on this particular person in this moment, in this situation, but it stems from things from years ago. And that's where my heart goes out to men in particular. My heart goes out in these situations because I know that it's coming from a place of hurt.
Definitely.
And that's why for me, it's important to have speakers like yourself, guests like yourself, to come on and say, hey, you're not the only one. Like, that's happened to me before too. Yeah, I didn't get that job. I didn't get that job either. Or yeah, I tried to talk to this girl. That didn't happen for me either. And even as a woman, I can say, well, yeah, I get rejected all the time. It happens. It happens. And
I
just,
can, I don't mean to cut you off,
no, go
but
ahead. Go
but
ahead.
this is one of these, that situation, that specific situation is something that I think a man needs to hear from another man, because rejection is part of life as a man. It may have happened to you a few times, but it happens to men. It is the way it is, because it's our job to step to women. At least maybe it's not as much as is now. We're enlightened and all that, but in the end, women, I think it's fair to say, want that. They still appreciate that. So when that comes down, it's always us, and we always get rejected. If you think about it, if you're a baseball fan, I love baseball. If you are successful 3 out of 10 times, you are one of the best. So imagine a man who's just going to the, bar or club or whatever, and he sees somebody's interesting, you want to dance, no, whatever, blah, blah. And in that same grouping, there's going to be women say, no, thank you. And there's going to be some women say, get the hell away from me, whatever. And you're going to get some negative responses. And I'm not saying that to make any negative response from a man okay. But what I'm saying is that being rejected is par for the course for men. So what you want is a man to say, listen, I know you're out there, you're interested, maybe you're looking for a wife or girlfriend, whatever. Understand that you may go out and nobody's going to be interested. You have to have that mindset. That's a stoic moment. That's when I have to be like, listen, I think I'm a good looking dude. I got dressed. I got the cologne, the watch, I got the whatever. I got the, I'm looking good. I'm ready, but it still may not work out. Now, how you handle that is important. And as a man, I can say, listen, I've had my times when I've gone out there. And sometimes not only is it rejection where you feel bad, because at times it's a little bit of a jab to the ego. Because I'm gonna leave and I'm like, I'm not good enough. What's wrong with me? And I don't think you ladies have that. You are at the club. We are at your will. We come to you and we are waiting for your response. So I can leave and be 0 for 10. And I can say, you know what? It just wasn't my night. Or I can be, wow, 10 women were like, no. And I may not feel good about me. So a guy needs to be, listen, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with them. It just wasn't your time. Don't take it out on them. And I, as a man, I have no problem with it. I got a 19-year-old son. Them ladies did not know who they just said no to. And it's okay to be like, listen, you good man. And she said no. And maybe if she said yes, something could have happened. But keep it moving. That's the best that we can do. All we can do is present ourselves. And it is up to the ladies to either accept or deny what we bring. I think that response from a man who's been through it as a man can really say, all right, thank you for that. I was upset. I looked at her shoes. I looked at the dress. It was shady, but that's not the point. We don't get petty. We keep it humane. We keep it mature, and we keep it moving.
Yes, that's the healthy way of dealing with it, the more mature way of dealing with it. Absolutely. And yeah, I can't stress enough how important it is for men to hear that there are other men that go through that
We
as well.
all do.
Yes.
Every one of us. Every one of us.
And that's why I even said, like, I do too. I was speaking with a client and kind of dealing with the same topic here of rejection, and they're kind of having some issues with dealing with rejection. And in my conversations with them, I've said, well, you do know that, we people, all of us get rejected as well. And I was like, even me too. And he was like, you do? I was like, yes. He said, but you're the woman. You get approached all the time. I was, "Ah." But still, there may be certain things or certain people that I may see a liking. I may see something that I may want to get to know more about that person, or just that person may catch my eye, and they went to the person next to me to try to talk to her. So we, as women, we get rejected as well. And me saying that, I believe it lit this light bulb within him, and he was like, oh wow, I didn't really think about it that way. So it's not just a me thing. And I'm like, no, it's not just about, it's not just you. It's humans. It's all of us. We get rejected from either not making a sports team. We get rejected, like we talked about earlier, from not getting the position that we may have applied for, especially for all of us who are submitting applications for jobs that we're not just automatically getting accepted to all of these jobs that we're submitting for and applying to. Technically, that is a form of rejection. So for me, it's important to help my clients and anyone that I speak with to help them reframe how they are defining rejection and not taking it so personally to where it's going left field, and helping them really understand and connecting it to, this is just a part of life. Okay, this actually, I actually do get rejected, because I have them say it multiple times so they can stop. So therefore it doesn't have this hard of a hit as it has been, and they start to realize they're actually being rejected often in life, but they're
Mhm.
just not connecting it, and they're not taking it as hard when it comes to matters of the heart. So yeah, so let's talk about the self-care, because all of this still ties into everything as far as a man being the healthiest version of himself, being able to prioritize his own self-care over others in order to be the best version of himself for others. Let's talk about some examples of how men can actually create and do self-care. What does self-care look like for men, as some examples?
So one thing to remember is that we men are not a monolith. We are all different, which means every man has a different way of caring for himself. So I throw a few examples out, but you can always change it up. One thing I mentioned earlier is journaling, and I call it mindful writing, because journaling you can just write and say whatever. But when I write something down, it's more of a personal thing. It's like when we were in high school and you were in English, language arts or whatever, and the teacher would say, okay, do some free writing. When I talk about mindful writing, write down exactly whatever is going in your head. Don't worry about being politically correct. Nobody else is going to read it. This is yours. We have a whirlwind of things going on in our lives, in our minds. It's the job, the relationships, all these things that are happening. Get it out and put it on the paper. Don't worry about the period being in the right spot or the question mark being where it needs to be. Just write it and say it. It's so interesting because it's a good thing to get it out once, but it's also interesting to go back and read it later and to see where you were. Where were you a week ago? How were you feeling a week ago? Were you confident a week ago? Were you at a point where you were struggling a week ago? It's always good to see our progression or even going down sometimes. So the first thing I say is mindful writing. Half hour and write down anything. I'm mad I didn't get this job. This person cut me off in the street. All this stuff. And I'm just writing it out. I don't want to hold on to anything. I want it all out. One thing I like is that I was on another podcast and I was talking to somebody, a good friend, and I had mentioned to him negativity sticks and positivity bounces. When you think about negativity, it comes in and it roots itself in there, but positivity goes away. You got to get rid of the negativity and you got to get the positivity and make and hold on to it. So journaling or mindful writing, that's the first thing. Two, you got to get away. Life is hectic. Life is a struggle. If you are the one that's the breadwinner in the home and you go to work and you do all this, and maybe it's not a job that you love, but it's a job that provides, you're coming home with stress every day. And the people at home don't deserve that. They don't need that. And you certainly don't deserve that either. So obviously, one, you want to write it down, you want to get it away. But what do you do? Like that Friday, that Saturday, you've been in this job, you're sitting at this desk from 9 to 5, dealing with these annoying customers. These people don't care about you. What do? You go ball for 2 hours? Do you meditate? Do you read? What do you do? Whatever it is, do it. Get it away because we don't want to bring that negativity to other people. We got to get rid of that stuff. So find something for you. When I do my podcast and it's Men Are the Prize, and the letters in prize represent characteristics that are good for men, one of the letters is Z. The word is zeal, enthusiastic devotion. What do you love? What do you do for you? Not for your wife, your spouse, your kids, your friends, your boss. What do you do for you when life is kicking you in the butt? That is important. It is imperative to get away. And I'd mentioned earlier that sometimes we have to do something and it may not be the best for whoever else is in our life. We may have a wife or a partner or somebody, and you've had a hard week and you know that person needs your help, but you know that you don't have it. Like they need you, but I'm like at 8% and I'm almost done. And if somebody says something to me, if these kids bother me, I'm gonna be a mess. You at some point have to say, listen, I want to help you. I am not help right now. I will hinder any situation that we're in. I need like 2 hours. I know it's gonna be hard, and I'm sorry. I gotta step away for 2 minutes. When I talked about selfish before, those are the moments you need to go, even though that person really needs you, but you need you too. I gotta step away. I'm going to lose it. I'm gonna get mad at you for no reason, the kids for no reason. I gotta go. What do you do when that situation comes along? Do you appreciate that? Do you understand that in the long run, it's the best thing for everybody? So, journaling or mindful writing that I talk about, zeal, enthusiastic devotion, something that you have, something just for you. Be as selfish as you need to be, as selfish as you need to be. What else would I suggest? Consider the situations that you're in. Consider who you're with, what you're doing, and what the people around you, the people who love you, what would they want for you? They would want you to be happy too, right? They would want you to be at 100% so that when you come home, grab these kids up, all right, let's go do something, and maybe take the weight off of that person for a while. When we make other people happy, it's a selfish thing. I do good things for people, but not always for them. But it's because, oh, wow, that feels really good. Wow, she's tired. She's exhausted. She needs to do something. Let me snatch these kids up and see the relief. It's almost not for the relief, but it's almost for the like, oh my God, I am her hero. Look what I done did. Look how happy she is because I grabbed these kids up. And that's selfish and that's fine. That is fine. I'm completely content with that. Baby, I know. We'll talk about how happy you are later. But whatever. You know what I'm saying? But we're here to provide, but provide for you, make you happy, make you content. We're always working, but I can work better when I had a meal before I just go in there without anything to fill my stomach, right? So take care of you. It feels so simplistic. Just take care of you, but it carries a lot of weight in every way. It carries a lot of weight. We carrying a lot of weight. That's not good for us. That's not good for my kids who want to go to the park and play, and I can't do that because I'm carrying too much weight. My wife wants to talk to me. We have things to talk about, but I'm so stressed that I can't give her my undivided attention. I got to take care of me. I got to be selfish. Got to go read that book, write that journal, find that hobby that I've kind of let go because we've been so busy. What do you love? Who do you love? And what can you do to show them how much you love them? By taking care of you, you really show them. Because I come and I'm 100%. I'm a bulldozer. What's this family going to do today? I'm taking care of you today, baby. You've been good. What are we doing today? Chill. I got it. And when I'm good, my partner can just step to the side and I got you. And as men, when we lead, it fills our cups.
It's so interesting that you ended that with it filling your cup, because as you were talking, I made a note about recognizing when your cup is empty.
Definitely. Definitely. Uh-huh.
And I'm going to, so when I was writing that, and as you were talking about different ways of self-care examples, and kind of going through a few that you named, mindful writing or journaling, but mindful writing, and try to get in there about 30 minutes or so. Get away. Ultimately, finding a way of escaping, whether that be reading or going to play ball or walking, just simply being selfish and doing something for you. And then you also talked about considering the situation that's around you, considering other people that are around you. And so with all of that, it just kept piquing thoughts within myself about, yeah, that's all about self-awareness. And another note that I made is that it's important to communicate to others when you notice that your cup is empty, or that you're, like you said, 8%, you're down to 8%, and you need to kind of regenerate, refresh, rejuvenate, whatever it is, to kind of raise that needle back up of energy, and your body and your mind being like, okay, I'm good to go.
Right.
I've taken that break, I've stepped away, now I'm good. let's go.
Right.
And so all of that is important. And for me, the most important step, being the first step, is being able to identify that about yourself. Being able to identify that, you know what, I am feeling a little sluggish, I'm exhausted, it's been a long day, maybe not physically, but more so mentally or emotionally, and knowing enough about yourself to say, I need to step away, I need a few moments, I'll be back. Because a lot of people don't know to do that. And I am cleverly bringing in my product, my self-paced coaching product. It's called What's Your Passcode? Keys to Hacking Access to the Life of Your Dreams. And basically, I walk people through the steps and that I take, the steps that work for me and has worked for many other people, about how to become the best version of yourself, and how you can, basically the first thing is about how to learn about self-awareness, because without self-awareness, a lot of these other things that we're saying, that we're discussing, they won't happen, because you're not even aware of the need for them to happen. And also being able to effectively communicate to others that, hey, I've had a really long day today, a little bit
Mhm.
outside of my norm. I need 60 minutes. I need an hour. Just give me that and I will be right back. I'll be able to help out with this. Then we can go grab dinner. Or at that point, yes, I'll be able to start cooking or whatever. Having those conversations, communicating effectively with others. And so I'm bringing this up for anyone who does not have a copy. If you look in the description of the YouTube video that you're watching right now, or if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast, check out in the description. There is a code, a discount code, where you can save off of your copy. So grab a copy today in order to help with everything that Harvey and I have been discussing. It's for men, it's for women, it's for anyone who wants to basically have a better life, who wants to learn to live a life of intentionality versus just living a life of existing
Right.
and just kind of going through the motions day
Agreed.
in and day out. So
Mhm.
grab a copy of that. Again, it's find the information in the description below, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening to your favorite podcast platform, listening to it on there. So yes, I'm happy that you said, as far as like your cup, it being able to be filled again, but needing, but also the importance of recognizing when your cup is getting low or is empty.
Can I just say, I wanted to think something else you mentioned is we are men and we are in a lot of relationships, and we're here to kind of lead families and have good, positive relationships with our spouse, our friends, our kids, and whatever. But there's one thing that I think a lot of men need to be reminded, and that when you are looking for that person to be in a relationship with, we tend to focus on what we bring to them. There are two people in a relationship. That person should fill your cup too. That person should know you. And we're human, so we're fallible. We're gonna make mistakes. I know when I'm getting annoyed and when I need to I'm just gonna step out. But a person who loves you sees it too. A person who loves you is like, you know what? And it's not an attack. It's like, he's been working this whole week. It's this big project, and this project is attached to this promotion that he's been trying to get for 2 years. And it's that's the office that he wants. It's the seat that he deserves to sit in. And I know he's struggling, and he may even be a little bit louder than usual. And I know what it is. It's not because he's a bad man, because he's in a bad situation right now. And a person who recognizes that in you is amazing, because then you know when you do slip up, when you do mess up, and we all will. Women do too. We all do. That person is like, you know what? I'm upset, but I know why he did that. And sometimes that person is going to say, hey, you know what, Harvey? Go ahead. You got half hour. Go do whatever. Go get yourself some coffee. Go watch the game. Go do something. Find somebody who knows you so well that sometimes they know you better than yourself, who knows that you are on the edge and will pull you back. Somebody who supports you so much so that you're allowed to mess up once in a while. And they're like, Thursday you said some stuff, and then you're like, you know what? I didn't mean that. I did this project and I was at the end and I could not finish it off. And before you even apologize, she's like, I know, I got you. That kind of woman, and I'm speaking to men and women, that kind of partner is the kind of partner a man will run through a brick wall from. We will do whatever because you understand us. You with us through the good and the bad. I'm struggling sometimes, and you're like, baby, I got you. I understand. It wasn't because of me. It was because of them. And I'm not going to let them beat us. That's the kind of partner as a man that you're looking for. That person that you were going to dedicate your life to, make sure that person is that person for you. Make sure she is her so that you can become him. It is incredibly important to find that person. And it's obviously the same thing with our women. We men have to be supportive. We got to be there. Hug when it's a tough day. Understand when she's loud and she's struggling. But to find the person who supports you completely in every way. And that is a big part of self-care. Finding the right companions for yourself through life. Finding somebody who understands you, who understands situations that maybe you don't, somebody you can learn from, somebody you can teach. I'm saying the right person by your side is dangerous for a man. You get a man with the right woman next to him, back up. And that is self-care. Take care of yourself and find somebody who, when you're struggling, will do it for you too.
Ooh. Yes. Oh, I did ask you for some examples of self-care, and I didn't know you were going to go there with it. I love that example. Self-care is choosing your partner wisely. Ultimately is what I got out of all of that. Part of that is to find someone who is going to be considerate of you. Find someone who will be your place of peace. Find someone who, I just talked about it in my product here. I just talked about self-awareness being the first step and being able to identify who you are. But if you can find a partner who is also in tune with self-awareness, then they will be able to be aware of what you need as well. So that's going to help with them being patient and kind and loving and understanding to your needs. Even if you may not be able to express it verbally, communicate it effectively in that moment, they'll be able to see something's off. My partner, my husband, my wife, my spouse, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, whatever. Something's off. Let me let them have a moment without feeling like, oh, well, you need to help me with this, and well, you haven't helped me with this either, without any of the pettiness. But finding a partner who is considerate of you as well, I love the example, is part of self-care.
And I think it's important because because obviously you talk with people who date single parents. As a single, and I'm at times, I can't lie, I feel like that because my wife is out there working, making the money, doing the things, and I'm at home with my kids. And sometimes you may feel like that's what you are. And as a single father or single mother, you're everything. You're the finance, you're the emotional, you're the psychological, you're all of it. If you, as that single parent, can find that person who understands your situation, who you've grown with time, and it doesn't have to be financial help. It can be that hug. It can be, I know every one of these kids is asking for something all at the same time. And the job is asking. And I haven't had a chance to go out and do anything. And I don't feel like I'm moving up in this job. And I'm stuck here. And maybe nobody's going to want me because I'm a parent, a single parent. You can be, listen, I know life is hard. I know life is hard right now. I got you. Go do something. I know the kids are bugging you. Listen, we're going to go get some Happy Meals. Go chill out and take a nap. I know work is hard and you haven't had a chance to do these projects because of these kids. Let me help you with the work. I'll put the kids down. When you find somebody who understands your situation, who understands you, how you deal with situations. When somebody is self-aware enough to understand sometimes when you're dealing with your kids, that sometimes as much as you want to be the help, that you're not the help. When you're a single parent, sometimes you know how to deal with situations alone. And sometimes this person got to go. And it's not a personal thing. When that person can say, you know what? I hear that. Call me when you're good. Somebody self-aware enough to recognize that they can help or they can hinder, and somebody who can acknowledge that you need help and knows just how to do it because they've been around you, because they see how you deal with things. The right person next to you, especially when you're a single parent, is incredibly important, because it's not just you, it's the kids that they're going to be with too, right? So that's self-care in a different way, but for a different situation. I just wanted to throw that out.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
Mm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Ooh, because yeah, that's a whole nother conversation, a whole
Mhm.
nother topic right there. So, self-awareness, that is super important. That's why it is number one in my opinion. But anything else? I think we have covered quite a bit. I know there's a lot more that we can get
Oh.
into, but I
Mhm.
want to be mindful of the time. I am going to kind of let's start to go into my next segment. I think that was a good stopping point. It was on a good note, a positive note. So let's go ahead and segue to what I want to call, or do call, my fun segment. And this is where I will ask you just a few random questions. It has nothing to do with our conversation today or the topics that we discussed today. And this is going to give our listeners an opportunity to get to know you from a different perspective. So have fun with the questions, please do. And you can answer, you can go as detailed as you want, or you can keep it as surface as you like. It's totally up to you. So, my first question, if you would like to join me on this quick ride, this first question is, what would you consider being your biggest pet peeve?
If I hear another person say the word irrespective, I'm going to find them in the street. Yo, that's not a word. And I'm not going to sit here and say that I am this wordsmith. I'm not a rapper. I'm not Kendrick. I'm not Biggie. But if you're going to talk to me, can we at least stick to the English? I hate people making up words. That's not a word. And you lose me. You lose me. I don't care how serious you are. Irrespective, I'm out. I gotta go. I gotta bounce. That is my pet peeve. I hate that because it makes no sense. Just,
They mean well, okay?
sure they do, sure, but
They mean well.
mean well over there. That's all I'm saying.
That is hilarious. That is hilarious. I can just imagine your face in the conversation, and they had you. The conversation is going well, and then all of a sudden that word is like, what?
And then I
Exit.
just start walking, and they don't know why. They're like, irrespective of what you just said, I can't be here, and then I gotta go. Oh my god. Oh, I hate it. I hate it.
I see.
Yes, it's like you could see it. It's like a actual visceral feeling. Like, stop talking. But
Oh,
it's all right.
oh, that was so good. Oh, that was so good. Okay. Look, I'm taking notes throughout our entire time together, and I think I spelled it right. You know.
It's not a word. Spell it however you want. I don't care.
You know, I had to
Mhm.
irrespective. Okay,
Mhm.
that looked
Oh,
right.
irrespective, irregardless, all of them are terrible. All of them. Oh,
Okay, let me move on before somebody be in
okay.
the comments talking. Okay. Oh my gosh. Okay, my next question. Woo, Jesus. Okay. Um. Okay. What motto do you live by and why? Or what is it and why?
We had mentioned it before, but I think it's important. And I was on that podcast talking to a friend, and we connected with this. So he was talking about, you know what? My wife is beautiful. She's gorgeous. We can go out. We can say we're going to go out. She's going to get dressed. She's going to pull out that dress and come out. And I'm going to be like, girl, you look good. And I've told my wife, she looks good 100 times. Damn, girl, you bad. In fact, I don't even want you to go out with me. I don't want these people seeing you. You look so good. She will forget that. God forbid I think, I don't know. That shirt look a little, and that's all she'll remember. And that's where negativity sticks and positivity bounces. Because we hold on to the bad and we release the good. So for me, and I continuously compliment my wife because, I'm biased. My wife is bad. I'm going to leave it at that. But she will remember the one time I may have said something that wasn't 100% positive. She'll always remember anything negative that I said. So for me, and this really is something for men, we rarely get complimented. You've heard the whole thing, men don't get flowers until their funeral. If I see you, brother, bro, that shirt was good on you. You been in the gym, fam? I see it on forearms. Go ahead, brother. You don't understand how a little compliment like that will make that man's day. We are so rarely complimented that when it happens, we almost don't know what to do with it. The idea that somebody thinks something positive about me and told me and felt the need to take a breath and say, hey, that shirt, that suit, brother. I see how that's sitting on you. Oh, go ahead, brother. I'm done for the day. Like, they can beat me, but somebody at 3 PM said I look good in a suit. It don't even matter. We're so simple, and we don't get that positive reinforcement. So for me, that's a motto. Negativity sticks, but positivity bounces, and we have to stop that. Somebody says something nice. Yeah. It's my badge. Put that here. If somebody says something negative, throw that away. It doesn't need to stay here. We got enough of that in the world. I got enough people telling me I can't make it. Enough people looking at me with thinking that I'm a failure, that I'm not going to succeed. When I get positivity, I put it here and it stays with me. So that's a motto I run with.
Oh, you did say that earlier. And I'm glad I asked you that question because now you were able to go deeper into the meaning behind it. And it's too good. It's so important. Negativity sticks and positivity bounces.
It's sad. It's true.
It is true. All righty. Well, I'm going to ask another question. So what would be your theme song? So picture you're walking into maybe your birthday party and everyone is there and you're coming in, you're being introduced, you're being announced. What's your theme song?
Okay. I am an 80s child at heart. I was born in 74. 80s is my decade. We could have done a whole separate podcast just talking about the movies, the music, the TV theme songs. But one of my favorite movies in the 80s is a movie called The Last Dragon. Berry Gordy's The Last Dragon. The Glow would be my theme. I walk up in there and I'm just there, the suit, I'm gleaming. I got the spotlight. It's dark. It's just me and the song is playing. That's it. That's the theme. So and everybody, you can act like you don't know the song, but if you were born 78 to 82, 83, you know the song. And if you don't, now you do, and you love it. That's my song. So that would be it. That would be my track. Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
When you got that glow. Oh my God. It's just, I couldn't even just be standing there. I'm moving. I'm going. What? Suit, kidding? Oh my God. It's a problem. I almost want that to happen now. When we done, I'm going to turn off the lights and start playing the song.
Don't make me pull open another tab on this computer and pull open that song. Because I can share my audio, okay? Fun fact, I am a DJ, former DJ.
Okay. So I know you got the vinyl for that. Do you have the soundtrack? Oh my goodness.
Oh my
Ah, I
God.
love it. I love it.
That is good. That is good.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
One more question. One more question.
Sure.
Alrighty. What's your favorite word?
My favorite word is empathy. One thing when I talk to men, because I'm, like I said, podcaster, I'm a men's success coach. I spend a lot of time when I talk to men about seeing everybody else's side, everybody else's situation, what they're going through. I feel better when I can really look and understand that somebody's struggling, somebody's going through something, and when I can understand them, when I can empathize with somebody's struggle, I'm better in my own. I'm a better person. So empathy, and it's something that I try to teach my children, people around me, to really understand what that person is dealing with, what your spouse, excuse me, your partner, your friend, what they're dealing with. When I can, and I don't know it, but I can understand it as best that I can. It's important that people feel like the people around them just don't look down upon them and understand that the struggle is real. And we say that and we joke about the struggle is real, but the struggle really is real. And if I could say, you know what? I see you. I understand. And you're handling it well. I say that to my wife every once in a while, baby. The struggle is serious, but you make it look good.
Mm,
And sometimes it's just to just look at somebody and listen. I can't fix it. I'm not going to solve it. I just understand what you're going through because I heard you talk about it. And I think that's important. So empathy is probably my favorite word. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, that's a good one. And yet important. Another thing that you've mentioned that is important as well. Because there's nothing worse than someone may be having expressed something or shared something or going through something and then being looked down upon or feeling judged.
Right. Right. Hmm.
Ah,
No,
yeah.
no, we get that enough. I
Yeah.
feel like I kind of feel like that's there in everything we love and who we love and what we listen to and what we read and what we write. There's a lot of jibber jabber. There's a lot of noise. Sometimes I'm just gonna tell you what it is, and I'll be like, okay,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yep.
Hmm.
Wonderful. Well, I appreciate you taking that ride with us during that fun segment. And as we start coming to a close for this episode that we are recording, I want to give you an opportunity to see if there's anything else you would like to share with our listeners, any takeaways, final nuggets, tips, whatever. Is there anything else you would like to share for the final word?
Well, first of all, again, thanks for having me and allowing me to talk about, irrespectiveness and songs that I love, about random commentary. Thank you for having me here. I want to say that if you want to listen to this podcast, like I said, Men Are the Prize, the podcast, Space for Men. If you want to listen to an episode, I really do it the same. It's a format that I stick with the same way. I take the letters in the word prize. So for me, P is purpose. R is resilience, Z is zeal, and E is expectation. What is your purpose? Why are you here? Resilience. What have you gone through? What happened in your life to make you a better man? And what are you doing with that resilience? Z, zeal. What do you do for you? For you. And that's an important distinction. We tend to do things with our family for us. No. For once in your life, what do you do for you? You're at the top of the list. And E, expectation. In 5 years, where are you going to be? Are you where you thought you were going to be 5 years ago? Do you have goals and aspirations that you're looking at forward? What are your expectations? This podcast came because I have another podcast with my wife called Love is Black. It is a podcast, a Black love podcast. We've been married 15 years. And during COVID, we had nothing else to do but talk. So we got the mic, press record, and we just started talking about stuff. So if you're ever interested in hearing a black couple that loves each other, none of the garbage on social media, none of the negativity about black love, two black people who love each other, respect each other, and value each other. That's what we talk about. Every week, we just have it and we just talk about things. This season, because I'm all talking now, we did enough talking. This season, we've been writing a black love story. Every week, we each play a character in this story. 1 week she writes the chapter, next week I do. And back and forth, we've been writing this Black love story. So if you're interested in Love is Black podcast, you can find that at loveisblackpodcast.com. That's where that podcast is. If you want to hear me talking to men primarily about anything, but using the parameters of prize, you can find that at harveylaguerre.com. The last thing I'd like to say, and Enrgy, thank you so much. I end prize with this. I say this at the end of every one of those that episode of that podcast because I'm talking to men. And if it's something you know, we men attempt suicide at a far higher rate than women do. We are struggling because we're not talking, because we don't know who to talk to. We don't know who we feel safe enough to talk to. So I end my podcast this way. To every one of you men, there is somebody in this world whose day isn't that bright, but is about to get brighter because you're about to walk into the room, because you're about to call them and they're going to laugh with you, or they're going to cry with you, or they're going to debate you, or they're going to make fun of you, or they're going to do something. You may not know it, but you make somebody's life better. You make somebody's day better. Like, this job is trash, but Jimmy's coming in and I'm going to be okay today. You don't know the effect you have on people, but you have an amazing effect on people. I say that because we need you. So don't make that decision. Don't end your life because you feel like it's low. You've got nothing left. You've always got something left. Somebody values you. Somebody needs you. Somebody loves you. I don't know you. I love you, brother. I've gone through it. And I see it every day. It's on this wrist, this scar of an almost irreversible mistake that I made. You are important. So you got to show up. You got to stay here. We need you. Why? Because you are an amazing man and you are the prize. And never forget that. Thank you.
I just wanted that to breathe for a second. Thank you for being willing to be a guest and having this very important discussion, this much needed discussion. You are doing the work that a lot of people shy away from. And I commend you for stepping out and being willing to be open and leading by example, and just letting people know, hey, you're not out here alone. Those things, those thoughts, you're not the only one that has experienced it. And for a lot of people, that gives them enough hope. So thank you for all of the work that you do. I love that you have created a space for men to come have someone that they can connect with, have someone that can support them. And so I will say to everyone that's listening, please go support Harvey on both his podcasts, as well as reach out to him, connect with him. If you heard something that was said today and you feel that Harvey would be someone that can maybe just help you get through at least one more day, to give you that strength, to give you the words of encouragement, the words of wisdom, the tools, reach out to him. Just understand that you have resources here. You have people here who are there and willing and ready to help you, to assist you in this thing we call life. So make sure you support Harvey. Harvey, again, I want to thank you so much for all of the valuable information that you shared with us today. And I hope to have you back again. At some point in the future, I would love to have you back again, because there was so much more that could have been said, but I know that what was said today was exactly what was needed to be said. And so for everyone else who would like to connect with me, if you would like to be a guest on my podcast, please reach out. You can find me on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform at The Single Parents Network, or you can connect with me on my website at thesingleparentsnetwork.com. If you are looking for a coach, whether you are a man or a woman, it does not matter. You are a human being. And if you would like to learn the importance of self-awareness and how to turn that switch on, how to become aware of when you just need a moment, and maybe to learn how to communicate that to others, to your household, to your family, to your kids, to your spouse, to your boss, your coworkers, reach out to me. I am available to assist you as well. Again, that website is thesingleparentsnetwork.com. I am the Single Parents Coach, Coach Nrgy. And always remember, when you master your mind, when you master your emotions, when you master your assignment, you can live your purpose and live on purpose. Until next time, talk to you soon.